Hello, leader. Getting fired is rarely random, and it's almost never about just one mistake. In today's episode, we're unpacking the real reasons people lose their jobs. Whether you're a leader making the tough call or someone trying to stay off of the chopping block, this episode delivers the straight stuff. No fluff, just facts, the patterns, and the avoidable behaviors that lead you to being told you're out. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, smart leadership for women who mean business. If you're a woman who owns an established business with a team of 5 or more, and you're ready to lead with more confidence, clarity, and impact, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Shelley Warren. Each episode delivers practical strategies to help you build a high-performing team and become the leader your business needs next. Let's get started with this reminder. The team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there. Let's be honest. Firing someone is never easy, but sometimes it's necessary. I've mentioned here on the podcast before, and with my clients, that I have fired a lot of people over the years. It's a big number, but not a number that I keep locked in my memory. The number I do keep top of mind is 3. Yeah, of all the people that I've fired, only 3 didn't shake my hand or give me a hug on the way out. You see, I made sure getting fired was never a surprise for them. That's right. I was taught and honed my one-to-one coaching skills over the years at that Fortune 50 corporation to pour into people and stay focused on helping them turn the performance around. I did this with coaching conversations, ongoing feedback, real examples, and coaching tools. I've taken this skill set and developed tools here at Stacking Your Team to help my clients improve their effectiveness at coaching their team members so they can avoid firing them. But I'm also here to help guide them through the very necessary decision they have to make sometimes that we really do need to move someone on. Still, those 3 people that walked out on their last day feeling angry felt that way for their own reasons. And yet, those 3 people and their circumstances still haunt me. I recently saw one of them at a local restaurant with their grandkids and kept trying to catch his eye. I know he saw me walk in, and yet he tried his damnedest to ignore me. I guess he still blames a big portion of his trouble at work on me. Getting fired is awful, and it's considered by many to be one of the toughest things to ever go through. And also, one of the toughest things to have to tell people about. Whether you're having to tell your loved ones that you've lost your job or your friends, it's embarrassing and it stings. And people always have questions. And many of them will place the blame on the workplace, the boss, the coworkers, or anything else but the person themselves. I've run into many of the people that I've fired over the years, and I always make a point to be the first person to say hello. I want to show them that we've both moved on from that moment, as we should have. Most of them wave or strike up a conversation, and some even say thank you, even after all these years, because they've moved on to a career that was a much better fit, and they also feel so much better about themselves too. I mean, come on. Part of the relief people feel after they've been fired is that they no longer have to attend those darn one-to-ones and revisit action plans and performance improvement plans any longer. But first, let's look at this from the employer's perspective. So before we dive into this, if you own a business or you're a leader at a business, let me encourage you to have an HR or employment attorney available to you to ensure that you're following your state, province, or territory guidelines at all times. Now, don't get mad at me because I'm putting the employer first in this episode. You are a professional, and you know that I'm trying to set up the foundation of why you could be terribly close to losing your job. So you get it. Firing is expensive financially, emotionally, and culturally. I mean, let's get real. You're hired through a hiring process That included job postings, interviews, reference checks, maybe even a paid project or trial. You may have even had a signing bonus. Someone you know may have received a referral bonus. People poured into your training. There may have been outside facilitators brought in, or maybe you traveled to workshops and conferences. And there may have been additional software, tech, and equipment purchased to help you deliver in your role. Everyone at work was excited and hopeful that you were going to enjoy being part of the team and add value immediately. You likely felt this way too. And that's the financial cost. When performance is stalled or begins to slide, it starts to affect people around you, and that leads to damaging relationships. That's the emotional cost. When one person is not meeting expectations and it continues to go on for too long, it undoubtedly impacts team culture and client services and their experiences. That's the culture cost. I've known lots of high-performing people who quit their role because they couldn't stand to be surrounded with people who didn't align with their own work ethic and performance. And that's another financial hit. So it's obvious that retention is top of mind for many business owners, but not at the cost of poor performance. Meaning, it costs money to terminate someone, both in the time and energy invested through onboarding and coaching, but also in the final payout of accrued vacation, PTO, severance pay, if applicable, or any pay in lieu of notice, depending on the timing and the circumstances of the termination. So yes, keeping team members and helping them turn the performance around is the ultimate goal. However, as a business owner, you know that you can't go on overcoaching someone to improve the performance forever. There will come a time to decide that termination is the next best step for you and your team member. If you found yourself at this crossroad, you might want to check out episodes 342. That's 342. Getting ready to fire a team member. The links are in the show notes. Okay, let's talk about 5 of the most common reasons why you could get fired, so you can avoid it, of course. Reason number 1, you've got a poor attitude and negative energy. Here's what this can look like. Constant complaining, eye-rolling, gossip, and obvious resistance to feedback. If you're acting like this, you could be seen as being a drain on team culture because your behavior, body language, and overall vibe says you think you're above the rest of the people you work with. Now, you may feel justified in showing up this way at work because of your education, your experience, proximity to other people that you deem more important, or it could also be tied to your life circumstances, such as where you were born and raised, and where you live now, or what kind of car you drive now, etc. But here's the heads up. Great leaders don't let one person poison the well. Great leaders are focused on the well-being of their team because they know that even just one consistently negative, resistant, or unaccountable team member can quietly erode trust, morale, and the productivity across the whole team. And here's a tip. They also know that this kind of behavior can often be subtle, quiet, or even performative for certain coworkers, and yet shut down completely for their leadership team members or even clients. Here's the second most common reason why you could get fired. You've got an obvious lack of accountability or follow-through. Here's what this can look like. Missed deadlines, forgotten tasks, or always needing to be reminded about what you're supposed to be doing, or frequent reminders about expectations for quality, safety, compliance, customer service, or workflows and SOPs. If you hear yourself often saying, "I forgot," as an excuse for disappointing someone at work, it's not just a memory issue. It's a reliability issue. So here's the heads up. Great leaders spot these performance outages early and work with you to uncover the reason why you're making so many mistakes and why you need to be reminded so often. They'll be looking to better understand if you're simply disorganized and need help with systems, tools, and workflows, or if you're not engaged in your work because of distractions, or if you're trying hard to avoid doing specific tasks, certain people, or doing your job altogether. And here's the third most common reason why you could get fired. You've got a skill gap and no desire to grow. Here's what this can look like. You can't keep up and you don't try to learn, meaning you can't stay on pace with the rest of the team or client needs. Or you resist learning new tools, techniques, technology, or software. It can also look like preferring to be spoon-fed every step of the way, not taking the initiative to learn something on your own. Your team will quickly consider you a bottleneck and a liability because you require so much extra time to execute anything. So if your standard response to being confronted about performance issues are, "No one showed me how to do it," and you've been given additional training and demonstration time, and you tick the box for completing the training, but you still don't move forward, maybe even requiring more hand-holding, your leadership team will come to the conclusion that it's time for you to go. So here's the heads up. Great leaders expect team members to meet them halfway by offering the training, tools and equipment, and trainers to help people succeed. And they also will track what happens during the training and after the training. By the way, this goes for attending virtual and in-person workshops and conferences. Great leaders are looking for you to take advantage of the training and then take the initiative to do something with it. Here's the fourth most common reason why you could get fired. You're disrespecting boundaries or authority. Here's what this can look like. Undermining leaders, talking back, and even ignoring instructions, workflows, and SOPs. Now, if you're crossing the line repeatedly by stepping outside your role or inserting yourself into matters outside of your ownership area, or if you're seeking to dominate conversations, challenging others by being argumentative, or selectively choosing which rules and guidelines to follow, you can bet you're considered a disruptor and likely a risk to others because you're not adhering to safety or quality or compliance standards. So here's the heads up. Great leaders know that healthy dialogue and respectful pushback are welcome on high-performing teams, but being disrespectful and wanting to appear superior to your leadership team or coworkers is something different. Everyone can feel that difference, and it won't be tolerated. It doesn't matter how talented or experienced you are. If you can't stay in your lane, the whole team swerves off track, and no one wants to witness this power struggle. Great leaders know that the strongest teams operate on clarity and mutual respect. So if you are a team member who shows you can't accept guidance, feedback, or structure, don't fool yourself into thinking or even claiming to others that you're being bold or independent. The fact is, you're being a liability. You're making it very difficult for people to trust you, and therefore, they won't want to collaborate with you. So forget about being given any more responsibility. And here's the fifth most common reason why you could get fired. You breach trust. Here's what this can look like. Lying, cutting corners, hiding mistakes, ghosting your team, or often showing up late, or frequently causing drama. People often think trust is something you earn, you already have, or you might rebuild later. But in reality, trust is binary. You either have it or you don't. Now, that doesn't mean people can't make mistakes, but when trust is broken through dishonesty, hiding things, stealing or borrowing, taking credit away from others, being inconsistent, or using poor judgment, it flips a switch on how people perceive you. So here's the heads up. Great leaders know that if your reputation shifted from, "I can count on you," to, "Now I have to double check everything you say or do," you're about to lose your job. Once you're in the "I don't fully trust you" zone, everything becomes slower, heavier, and harder for you and everyone around you. Now, if any of this sounds uncomfortably familiar, now is the time to make the choice to change the outcome before it's too late. Here's what you can do instead. Own your mistakes early and apply what you've learned without being told to. Stay coachable. Ask for clarification before the problem escalates further. Get aligned with team values and start arriving at one-to-ones prepared with ideas. Bring solutions, not just complaints. Speak up, but respectfully, and ask for clarification if you're unclear on what success looks like. And practice asking, what else could I do to improve? It all comes down to whether or not you want to build a career at your company. If you do, it's time to turn things around starting today. Now, if you're a leader, here's what you can do. Document performance concerns. I remind my clients all the time, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Your HR resource and employment attorney will applaud your documentation efforts, and it will definitely help them guide you through meeting your state, province, or territory guidelines for terminations. Communicate expectations clearly. This is often how things get off the rail in the first place. Create room for improvement, but with limits. You want to acknowledge their improvements and next steps with clear dates, deadlines, and details, helping to encourage and also hold your team members accountable. And I mentioned earlier that you might want to revisit episode 342, Getting Ready to Fire a Team Member. Thanks for tuning into the Stacking Your Team podcast, Smart Leadership for Women Who Mean Business. If today's episode helped you to see leadership in a new way, I'd love to hear about it. Come connect with me on Instagram at @StackingYourTeam and tell me, what are you working on in your business right now? And if you're ready to go further than this podcast, check out the Leadership Lab. It's my high-touch coaching experience designed for women leading a growing team. We're welcoming new members right now. You'll find all the details at the Stacking Your Team website. And if you're tuning into this podcast because you work somewhere and you're wanting to develop your leadership skills, I invite you to start following our sister company, Thousand Islands Leadership Consulting. Check us out on Instagram or LinkedIn for unbiased career guidance designed to help ambitious people have a bigger impact, get promoted, and live a better life. So until next time, let's do less managing and more leading by making space to lead and letting go of the rest.